guys, welcome to Charmy's Bookcase, where I, Charmy Terrell, review and discuss books I've read. In this video, I will be discussing 3 books: Caraval by Stephanie Gerber, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstein, and Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. I read Caraval first, and after I finished reading it, I saw all these posts about how if you like Caraval, then you might like The Night Circus and Hotel Magnifique. So I thought, let's give it a try. I went into all these books completely blind, like most of the books I've read, with only the title and the book cover to give me any ideas about the plot. So I had no idea what I was getting myself into. From this point on, this video will contain spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled about the plot of the book, I suggest you stop watching now. Without further ado, let's get into it. The Night Circus is a young adult historical fiction novel that centers around a competition between Celia Bowen and Marco Allister, a competition the two didn't even want to be in. Celia's father, Hector Bowen, the worst father in the world and a well-known magician, and his longtime rival, the man in the gray suit, aka Alexander or Mr. A.H., from time to time train up 2 individuals and then set them in an arena to battle it out. Not like the Hunger Games per se, but our main characters must outperform each other with increasingly high complex forms of magic until one of them dies. Hector claims Celia will win on raw talent alone, while Mr. A.H. believes that anyone who applies themselves could be just as good. So he adopts Marco, an orphan with no magical ties whatsoever, to prove his point. Their battlefield is a circus that cannot function without them. Celia and Marco fall in love as they continue to one-up each other through elaborate tents filled with illusion and wonder. But the two can never really be together until the competition ends, which only can happen if one of them dies. And that's when I had a problem with the story. Throughout the story, Celia has the skill to break things apart and put them back together again. And I thought this ability would really help her in the end. This really could have helped her in the competition with both parties unscathed. There is a scene where Hector kills a bird when Celia can't fix his broken wing. But what if she brought the bird back to life? That is where I thought this book was heading. If Marco killed himself and she magically brought him back to life, the competition would be over and she and him could be together, but that's not how it happened. Hector, Celia's father, wanted to live forever and accomplishes this by essentially turning himself into a ghost. He can wander wherever he likes, talk to whoever he wants, but doesn't have a physical hold in our world. Which is what Celia and Marco do. They kill themselves and essentially become ghosts tied to the circus. I don't know about you, but it doesn't sound appealing. The story ends where it begins, with a character retelling their love story to Mr. A.H. I found the writing style to be very complex, with me having to reread some of the lines over and over again to understand what the heck was going on. But I didn't mind. The story also isn't written in chronological order, hopping from different points in time and having the reader trying to figure out what's happening when and where. Another thing I really liked about the book. The one thing I didn't like, besides the way Celia and Marco went out, was the other characters. I know it made the world more expansive, but I only really cared about Celia and Marco's story. All the other characters I could do without. Overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this story and highly recommend it to anyone. Next up, Caraval. Caraval is a young adult fantasy novel written by Stephanie Gerber, and is the first of a trilogy. I did read the other books, but I will only be discussing the first book in this video. The story follows 2 sisters, Scarlett and Donatella. The two both want to escape the arms of their abusive father, and Scarlett seeks out a marriage to do so. For 7 years, Scarlett wrote letters to Legend, the Grey Master of Caraval, a yearly event where the audience participates in a show, which is a very vague definition of the place. I would say the world building isn't very thought out or emphasized in this book. Scarlett wants to go, but the event is in 3 days, and she doesn't want to risk it with her father on a warpath about her engagement. So instead, her sister drugs her and plans this whole elaborate goose chase to get Scarlett on board. Once at Caraval, Donatella plans out this whole life lesson for Scarlett to learn in a wicked game of hide and seek. She orchestrates the biggest gaslight I've ever seen, and it wouldn't be so bad if her fiancé was actually evil. But he appears in the second book, and he's actually a decent guy. The two could have easily fallen in love with each other and been happy, but they don't because her sister completely derails her plans. Instead, she ends up with Julian, who is making out with Donatella on the first meeting. He was really bouncing from sister to sister. Besides the plot and the horrible family trope, this book has good moments. There is this one scene I liked where Scarlet needs to find another object, and to do so, she kind of pulls a Coraline where everything turns black and white, and she uses this device that shows her what she needs in color. The trials and quests she goes through, I think, are the biggest and best parts of the book. Overall, I give the book a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't the best read, but it does have its merits. Last but not least, Hotel Magnifique. Hotel Magnifique is a young adult fantasy novel written by Emily J. Taylor. Wow, what can I say about this book? I really liked I really liked the cover. Honestly, I couldn't get into this book from the start. Maybe it was my mindset at the time, but I really can't think of one good thing about it. I see many people saying that they love this book, and I'm like, why? I didn't care for the characters, and the plot was just not for me. I just couldn't. The story follows 2 sisters named Yani and Zosa, 2 poor girls looking for a steady job to get them out of the horrible conditions. Their prayers are answered when a Hotel Magnifique rolls into town looking to hire. Her sister gets a job with her amazing singing abilities, but Yani doesn't, so she weasels her way in. The reason the hotel is so magnifique is because the people who work there have magical abilities, giving the hotel opulence and charm, teleporting the whole building on a whim and without a trace. However, not everything is as it seems. Soon she finds out that the hotel is a horrible place to work at. The employees are basically slaves, under the control of the evil Alistair. Alistair makes his employees sign a contract giving up their free will, and also the contract erases their memories so they're less likely to run away, knowing they have nothing to come back to. And after trying to escape, Yani is revealed to have powers as well, and we find this out after she knocks an orange off a magical tree. There is this magical tree that grows inside the hotel, and if you're able to pull one of the fruit off of the tree, you have magic. And I thought that was one of the dumbest ways someone can figure out they have magic. It turns out that she is what they called a fabricant, and Alistair wants to use her abilities to find a magical ring that will enhance his powers. But instead of going on some wild goose chase for this ring in some far off place, there is an all-out fight for freedom instead, which I didn't mind at this point because I was waiting for this book to be over. I couldn't read another 200 pages of her trying to find this ring. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. A magic hotel that teleports from place to place was a great start, but after that the story went downhill for me. When it comes to all 3, The Night Circus has my vote. All 3 books share a magical event or place filled with wonder and excitement, but that's it. After that, the stories completely go in different directions. I see why people compare the 3, but just because you like one of them doesn't mean you'll like the rest. Tell me what you thought about these books. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified every time we drop new content. Bye!